Every divorced dad thinks their trigger is the problem. The ex, the text message, the tone, the silence on exchange day. But here's the truth most men never hear. Your trigger or your triggers don't come from the outside. They come from the parts of you that you've never examined. A trigger, it's not about her. It's not about court. It's not even about the past. A trigger is the collision of what you felt, what you feared, and what you never healed. Today, I want to show you why your triggers still own your reactions, your peace, and your identity, and how to break them before they break you. Before we jump into this episode, man, if these episodes have helped you, if they've helped you think differently, do me a favor and hit subscribe. Leave a review. It makes this show explode in the algorithm so more dads find help instead of hiding in shame. If there's one thing you want to do to help a dad, you can just do that. So here's the truth about triggers, and here's what most dads get wrong, right? Triggers, they don't expose your ex. They expose your emotional operating system. So a trigger is essentially an unprocessed fear plus a rehearsed thought plus a rapid body response. And I've had them. There's even moments when they still come up. That it's not that they are never actualized or they don't happen anymore. At times they will. You will, once you have the system to get through them. We'll talk about how to do that. They will fall off, right? You will grow out of them. They will no longer affect you. Until that moment, they're essentially signposts and guides of what you need to do. That's the beauty of it. When you begin to see that triggers are actually signs, they're actually helping you to understand what you need to get through, then you can. So here's a little bit about what's going on in your brain. What the heck is actually happening? 90% of triggers are physiological before they're psychological, right? It's happening so fast before even conscious thought. It's wirings. It's those things when your body, you feel it in your chest a little bit. You're not sure why, but then all of a sudden you start thinking about why. The brain stores emotional memories as patterns, not events. And divorce magnifies these loops through chronic cortisol, which makes it 2 to 3 times stronger. That's what you're up against. That's what's happening in your brain with triggers. So it's helpful to understand that this is what's going on, right? This is what's actually happening before you rebuild through it. It's like assessing a house that you need to rebuild. You need to look at the wood. You need to look at the floors. You need to look at the frames and what's going on. You need to see that there's some rotting. There's some problems. There's some things that are going on so that you can fix it. It's awareness that is a superpower, and understanding that, hey, this is the normal pattern that you've been in. This is the default wiring. These are the electrical wires inside your brain that has caused you to do that. And so the additional psychological, rational, emotional, behavioral therapy will say it like this. Every trigger sits on top of a distorted belief. Your perception is your reality. And so what we have to do is look at it from a different angle. And it'll sound like this. The distorted belief will sound like this. I'm losing control, right? She's winning. I'm failing my kids. I look weak. I'm being disrespected. Man, if I haven't heard that one a million times, it's so disrespecting. You can be right or you can have peace, but you can't have both. And there is this war with dads and triggers in this area that they want control and they want to be right and they don't want to be walked on. And I get all of that. I'm not saying that you just get walked on, but it's got to be your perception of what being walked on is. Scripture says that the greatest among us is the servant of all. The servant of all. It says to pray for those who despitefully use and abuse you. And I'm not saying that I know your situation. I'm saying that I'm suggesting, take a step back and understand what is really going on? Is it your ego, right? Or is it actually something that matters? Proverbs 23:7 says this, and if you don't have this book, that is an entire book about it by James Allen, you need to get it. You need to read it at least 5 times. If you hear me mention a book, it's a book that is at least 5 to 10 times you need to read it. Why? Because I believe that more knowledge does not help anybody. It's the execution of the knowledge that is going to help anybody. I don't need you to consume 17,000 hours of podcasts. I need you to do 5 things. If you want to do and change and transform your life, look at what's coming in versus what's going out. Audit your actions, audit your mind, audit your systems, audit your thoughts. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. Your thought becomes a belief. Your belief becomes a reaction. Your reaction becomes an identity. That is simply what's going on with that scripture. As you think in your heart, so are you. James Allen, read the book 5 times. Here's where the fast system that we go through, if you're not in the school group, jump in it. Everything I teach is through this system. It's very simple. It's nothing that you probably haven't heard, but it's something that you can do every single day and know why you're doing it. Know the system of why. It's not a motivational framework, the FAST system. It's an interruption system. Triggers destroy focus. They distort awareness. They kill strategy, and they stall transformation. That is the FAST system. F is focus. A is awareness. S is strategy. T is transformation. That's what these things do to you. That's what triggers are attacking. That's the enemy of the FAST system. And that's why we go and we dig right through it to change your life. 3 triggers. We'll get into this. And I believe that these 3 triggers that you'll probably hear and understand, I'm going to give you some questions to get around the 3 triggers. I'm going to give you some things today that if you take home and you do in 30 days or less and you do them consistently, your life will be transformed. You say, Anthony, how do you know that? I know that because 99% of dads do not have a system. 99% of dads are not accountable. And 99% of dads are not doing the things they know they need to do. If you just do those 3 things, if you just invest in yourself, if you just grabbed a coach that could spot the blind spots, and those are one of the biggest things that I upgraded in my life that changed my life. Here is trigger number 1, death by narrative loops. This is trigger 1. The story you tell yourself about her becomes the story you believe about you. The story you tell yourself about her becomes the story you believe about you. That is ultimately a narrative, a loop, and a story. And you've got to change your story if you're going to change your strategy. The neuroscience is something, to me, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about this a lot. And he's done some huge studies on it. And it's really been transformative for me, especially when I'm working with dads that are constantly driven back into, man, I could have fixed this, or what if this worked out, or what if this didn't happen, or, these gaslighting, or then they start throwing in these hot buzzwords of narcissism and gaslighting and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not diminishing that. I just want you to catch this stat. 50% of memory is inaccurate. The studies and stats show 50% of your memory about situations in the past are inaccurate, which means that you're trying to fix something in the past that you don't have all the data on. You don't have the exact memory for it. And so what happens is your mind begins to create the story and the narrative that best suits where you're at. And it may not be totally accurate. That's why so many times when you look at these cases in courtrooms and people say one thing and they look back at the tapes and the video and it's not what they said. It's not what they did. Many of you dads are in a lot of trouble because you think that you didn't behave in an angry manner and you actually did. So what you rehearse becomes what you relive. Your rehearsal, the rehearsal of the past or the rehearsal of the future. I want to talk about rehearsing the past because rehearsing the future is the solution. Trigger number 2, identity threat. And divorce cracks the 3 pillars of dad's identities: the identity of protector, the identity of provider, and the identity of presence. Those 3 identities are absolutely nuclear, destructive. I tell you, dads are protectors, man. You want to protect, and now you're there 50%. Maybe some of you it's less than 50%. Maybe it's none. That identity of protector is gone. What do you do? How do you help your kids? How are you there and around? You're not there anymore. You're not able to protect. And it's a crisis, and you feel it. I felt it right from the beginning. When it first happened for me and I wasn't able to see my kids, I lost that protector identity. And oh my Jesus, that trigger, that loop kept playing and playing and playing. The next one is provider. Some of you were great providers. Some of you financially couldn't provide. And now they're not with you. And it's even harder to provide because financially it's tougher. Maybe you don't have what you wanted to have or do the things you wanted to do. And it's an identity crisis. It's stripped from you. And you're trying so hard to get that identity back. The third one is presence. And the data in this and the data will show that a dad being around matters. I love watching these videos. They come up from time to time where a child is throwing a fit and a tantrum with their mom, and just going ballistic. And then all of a sudden dad walks in and the child straightens up, stops crying, and goes and does what they need to do. Dads, your presence matter. And when it's not there, it happens. I remember with my children, especially the younger ones, that I would get, I'd hear reports of how they were acting out and how they were doing that. And it's hard. That identity isn't there. But here's what you got to understand. Any moment that threatens one of these that one of these is an instant trigger. And again, we're understanding what these triggers are, because I'm going to give you some things here at the end. We're going to get through this. This is not something that owns you. It's actually a decision that you get to have. The third one is a nervous system hijack. Hypervigilance from trauma makes men interpret neutral signals as threats. So I'll say that again. Hypervigilance from trauma makes dads interpret neutral signals as threats. So exchange day silence equals she's punishing me. The kid's distance equals I'm losing them. Man, you ever have that feeling where you haven't seen them in a few days or whatever it might be? Trigger. I'm losing them. She's punishing me. I'm not there anymore. So here's what has to happen. Romans 12:2 says, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Transformation equals interrupting automated reactions. That's all that's happening. You're having an automated reaction, and now we have to transform it into the dad that you're becoming. The man that's there, the man that's always been there. New triggers, new assignments, new direction. So here's a tool that you can take on today. The 3-minute trigger breaker is what I call it. 3-minute trigger breaker. Simple, repeatable tool for dads that you'll actually use. Okay. The first one, step 1, is name the body. 30 seconds. What am I feeling physically? And it reduces that stress. It reduces your brain activity by 30%. What am I feeling physically? Just becoming awareness reduces the stress by 30%. I'll tell you what, 30% reduction of stress is awesome. So ask yourself that question. What am I feeling physically? Step 2, name the belief. What story am I telling myself that might not be true? What story am I telling myself that might not be true? You've got to get real and honest about what the story is, not what you're percepting it to be, not how terrible it is. You just got to, hey, what am I telling myself? Number 3, name the future man. This is it. You are going from glory to glory, faith to faith. You're becoming a new man. If you want to become a new man, then you got to act like a new man. You got to think like a new man. As a man thinketh, so is he. Number 3 is the fast transformation. If I was the father I'm becoming, not the father I was, how would he respond right now? That's the question. If I was the father I'm becoming, not the father I was, how would he respond right now? Your future self should be the loudest voice in the room, not your past pain. That is, in a nutshell, everything that you're going through right now. Scripture says the old man is gone, the new man has come. Well, how do we feed the new man? What inputs does the new man need to have? What does his mouth need to say? What does his mind need to say? What's in his heart, right? So here's something that you'll remember, something you'll take along. And before I close, I'll give you these things. Triggers are emotional landmines. You either learn the map or you keep losing legs. Crippled, broken, busted, triggers, landmines, brother. That's what they are. So when you feel them, these are the questions you need to ask. So your ex didn't plant the mines. Remember this. Your ex didn't plant the mines. Divorce didn't plant the mines. Life planted them. That's it. And God is inviting you to clear the field so your kids don't inherit it. We are transforming a million dads for their life and their legacy. Your legacy. What you avoid, what you don't fix, your children will inherit. They will get, right? So this is what we're doing. You're going to get through these things. Here's a scripture in Psalms 23. We love it. We should know it. It says he restores my soul. Your soul equals your mind, your will, your emotion. He restores your soul. Restoration equals repattering. That's all it is. You being restored is just a new pattern, a new belief system. You're not broken. You're in restoration. And restoration always begins where triggers used to control you. That's the reality of it, dude. That's where you're going, and that's where it's at. You've got this. It's 2026. It's the big fix, man. Brother of today hit you hard. Subscribe, leave a review. It pushes this message out to dads that are suffering alone and need this exact episode to break the cycle. If you want a deeper work, you want to just start doing something, man. Start getting involved. Join our Ascent Brotherhood. The link's in the description. It's a start. It's systems. It's frameworks. It's all the things that I had to do and use to rebuild, transform, and create something that will last way beyond my life. I love you guys. I pray for you every day. I'll see you guys on the next one. God bless you.